If you've been on social media at all in your life, then you've probably come across an edit while scrolling. They normally start off with a clip of a film or TV show with some text and music playing in the background. Then, when the beat drops, it goes into some very nice, smooth zooms of whatever character or TV show or movie you're editing. Well, these edits are primarily made in Adobe After Effects, which if you don't already know, is very hard to use, especially for a beginner. But don't worry, I'm going to step you through exactly how to use it from start to finish to make insanely good edits with super good quality and super good zooms and all of that. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be doing is opening a new project in After Effects. So go to New Project, Composition, New Composition. And I like to make mine pretty long, so about 30 minutes, just so we have enough time to cut up our clips. Set the width to 2160 and the height to 2160. That gives us a 4K square composition, which is exactly what we want. Set the frame rate to either 30 or 60 FPS. I like to put it at about 30. Then just click OK, and you can drag in your clips. Once your clips are inside your composition, just drag in your audio first and put it onto your timeline. The first thing we're going to be doing is marking up our beats. Once the audio is on your timeline, right click it, go to Keyframe Assistant and click Convert Audio to Keyframes. Then just wait a second, and once it's done, click U and click on this little slider button. Then just click on the graph editor, and you can see all your beats have been turned into this graph, and you can see when it spikes up, that's another beat. So then just go and mark up your beats using whatever keyboard shortcut you have. Now one thing with my keyboard shortcuts, my laptop doesn't have a big enough keyboard for the default marker one. So I like to go to Edit, click on Keyboard Shortcuts, and then just change that keyboard shortcut to be the 0 key on your keyboard. Once you've changed that keyboard shortcut, just go ahead and just start clicking on it to mark up your beats. You only have to really mark up around the first 3 beats, and then if you can see that it just continues the beat pattern, you can just copy and paste those markers and just continue that same beat along your edit, which makes it seem really smooth. Once you've got those first few markers done, then you can just go out of the graph editor and collapse everything, and now we can start cutting up our clips. So drag your scene pack into your composition and place it right at the start. I'm going to speed up the next part, but I'm basically just going to cut up my clips and make sure that every time there's a new shot, I place a cut right when it happens, so it won't mess up when we play around with the position. Once you've got your scene from your scene pack cut up, what you're going to do is you're just going to drag it to right where your beat drop is that you've marked with your markers and get it right in position. And then everything before your clip, you're just going to cut off from the audio. Then just bring everything to the start. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cut up our scene so that we can position each clip so every character's face is shown and we don't have these big black bars. In order to do so, we're just going to look for when each shot ends, and then we're going to place a cut right there. So you can see the shot ends there, well it looks like it does. So we can just go 1 frame forward and then we click Ctrl-Shift-D. So once we hit Ctrl-Shift-D on our keyboard, we're going to go over to this properties panel or click S on your keyboard, and then we're going to adjust the scale. So you can see down here it's linked, which is good, and we're going to adjust it right to about there. But it will depend on the quality of your scene packs as to how much you need to scale it. Then just click P on your keyboard and you can adjust the position to show the character that's talking. You're going to want their face to be in about the middle of the frame. And once you're done with that, you're going to go over to the tracker panel. So just click these 2 arrows and then click tracker. And once you're on the tracking panel, click stabilize motion. Now, just hold and drag over so you can select all of these and just make the tracker bigger. Then just go to the middle and drag the tracker over to their nose. The bigger the tracker it is, the more accurate the tracking will be, but the longer it will take to do so. How long it will take will also depend on how good your computer is, but most of the time it should be decently quick, but don't worry if it isn't. Once you got your tracker ready on their nose, just click play. And once it's done with that clip, you can just click the play button again to stop it if it hasn't already, and then just click on apply. Then in the apply dimensions, click on X and Y and click OK. Now you're going to be back over to your normal composition. You're going to see it might have some black bars like it does at the bottom here. So you're going to go over to effects and presets and search out motion tile. Then drag it onto your layer and change the output height and output width to 200 and click on mirror edges. Now my composition is a bit weird because my scene pack has black bars in the bottom of the actual clip, so I'm going to need to do some masking, but for most clips that'll then force it to basically mirror the clip back, and then you can just use P on your keyboard to adjust the position so you don't see those mirrored edges. Now once you've done that for your first clip, you're going to repeat that for all the other shots in your scene pack. Now one thing you should do that I almost forgot is that if your clips don't match the frame rate of your composition, what you're going to do is you're going to go over to this little checkbox on your clips and you're going to enable frame blending. So just click that and then click it again so it looks like an arrow, and that basically just makes it match the frame rate of the rest of your After Effects composition. So my composition is 30 FPS but my clips are 24, and so that'll just make those 24 frames per second clips turn into 30 FPS clips. Right, now that we've got all our clips cut up for the intro, we're going to do probably the most important part that really makes this an edit, and that's adding the zooms. So in order to do these zooms, first you've got to get your clips cut up. So I'll just fast forward to me doing that. Depending on how long your edit is, you'll normally want to cut up about 5 to 6 clips for your zooms, and you'll just repeat them 2 or 3 times if necessary. Okay, so once you got your first lot of clips cut up for your zooms, you're just going to go ahead and pre-compose everyone by clicking on the layer and clicking Ctrl-Shift-C. Make sure you click on this, move all attributes into the new comp, and adjust composition duration to the time span of selected layers. Then just click OK, and do this for every single layer that you have for your zooms. Once you're done with that, you're going to go over to your effects and presets panel, and you're going to type up Twixtor and apply the Twixtor plugin into your first clip. You're also going to then add S_blurmer curves and apply that to your clip. Then go to the start of your clip and go to the effect controls panel. Make sure you have S_blurmer curve selected and click on the keyframe icon for Z dist. Then go to the end of your clip, change Z dist to 0.5. While you've still got that selected, click on this little orange thing and drag it over to the character's nose. Now click on Twixtor and change the in and out FPS to the frame rate of your composition. So for me that's 30. Then just check it again and click on the keyframe icon for speed and turn it up to 140. Now you're going to go to the middle of your clip and you're going to turn that speed down to 80. And then you're going to go to the end and turn that speed back up to 140. Now click U on your keyboard while you've got that clip selected and drag across all of your keyframes. Then right click any one of them, keyframe assistant, easy ease. Now select the first one of your Twixtor keyframes and click on the graph editor. When you're in the graph editor, it might have these lines underneath which are still from your audio amplitude layer. So just go out of the graph editor, go back to audio amplitude, click U and turn off that slider icon. Now you can go back to your Twixtor plugin. And what you're going to do is you're going to select this bottom chart here. Make sure you've got the value graph selected. And you're going to drag these lines all the way down here like so. If you want to check that they're even, just click this middle part and adjust them to how you like. Make sure they look kind of like mine and then go out of it. Now select any one of your S_blurmer curves keyframes, click on graph editor and make a graph like this. Once you're done with that, just go out of it by clicking U and out of the graph editor, and your first zoom is done. Play it back and see how it looks. You'll see at the start of the clip it'll go really fast and then it will kind of slow down a bit. That's what we want. Now what you're going to do is you're going to drag across all of those keyframes again and click Ctrl C. Go to the start of your next clip, select it and hit Ctrl V. Then just adjust your keyframes on here to make them the correct time for your next clip. And then select S_blurmer curves again and drag the middle part back to their nose. Do this for all of your clips until you're done. Make sure every time though that you change the in and out FPS on Twixtor to the frame rate of your comp, because that won't carry across. Right, now once you've done your first sort of zooms, what you're going to do is you're going to click on the top one and you're going to hold down shift and then click the bottom one while holding shift. That's going to select all of them. Then you'll just hit Control C to copy. Now deselect all of them. Go to the end, click on the top one and click Control V. Now just zoom out and drag these so that they go and start right after that top one. That's just going to repeat the zoom, so just delete that. And so now you can see it's just going to repeat them again. But what we don't want to do is just have them repeat, otherwise it'll just get repetitive and people will scroll away. So we're going to make them zoom out. So you'll see the S blur curves. What you're going to do is you're just going to swap them around. So that'll make it start at 0.5 and then zoom out to be its normal way. There we go, I just finished, and now that that's done, we're basically done with our zooms, or the base of our edit in general. So just go to the end of your last zoom, scroll down to the bottom where your audio amplitude and your main music track are, and then just select both of them, click Ctrl Shift D, and then backspace. Now go over here, click on that, and copy that time, go over to composition settings, and now just select all of that, and paste in that time. Now our whole composition is the length of our edit. Now in order to do our text for our intro, we're going to click on the first clip of our talking scene, click Ctrl Shift Alt T. That's going to add a text layer, and now that that's already selected, we can type in what they're going to say. So I just need to hear it back again. So in this part she's saying I'm supposed to be spending the night at Tina's, so we're just going to type that in capitals. And once that's typed, just go over to your text panel, or depending on After Effects version, it might be the character panel. And then just change the font over to Arial Bold, so Arial Bold. Make sure nothing else is selected. And change the size to maybe like 100. You can just make that so it goes underneath. And then we can change how close together they are to about like that. And then we'll adjust how close together they are there. Now just go to where you want the text to end. So for me that's after the second clip. So we'll just cut it there and place it above that. Now in order to do the thing where the text slowly goes apart, we're going to click on this little drop down arrow, go to text, and you'll see path options. Then click on animate and click on tracking. And once you've clicked on tracking, you're going to see this range selector. Make sure it says before and after, and then click on the keyframe icon for tracking amount. Make sure it's at 0. Now go to the end of your text layer and change that to 17 or about there. So you can see if I go across, it'll slowly go out. Now that you've added that little cool effect, we're going to go over to the effects and presets panel and search up fade up words. So drag fade up words onto your text layer. And you can see it's all going to go away now. So just click U on your keyboard. So you open up your keyframe editor and you'll see it'll have the range selector and it'll be at 0% right now. So the first keyframe is going to be where it starts, the second is where it ends. So drag the second keyframe to the end of your text layer, and now play it back to see if it matches up with what the character's saying. Now it's probably not going to match up, so you're just going to play back your clip like 15,000 times, and you're just going to adjust these keyframes until they're exactly perfect, so it pops up exactly when the character says the words. Now let's say there's a pause between two words. Like for Erica's character here, she puts a lot of emphasis on supposed, and then there's about a bit of a longer wait between supposed and the next word. Instead I'll mess it up and it won't look good. So what we're going to do is we're going to place a keyframe right after she says supposed, right before the next word comes up. When it's finished the first word and it's about to go into the second word, right there we'll place a keyframe, and then we're going to copy that keyframe and we're going to go to where the next word starts and we're going to paste that keyframe. So it's going to hold that position all the way until that next keyframe. Now that we've got that first text part done, we're going to add some effects to it. So go over to your effects panel and search up deep glow. So just drag that onto your text layer. And you're going to see it's going to be really glowy. Make sure you set your resolution to full and just wait a second. And now you'll see the radius. Now just drag the radius until it looks pretty good. I don't like it to be super glowy. and then just drag the exposure down to about 0.4. That'll make the text still visible, but you'll still see the glow around it. Next, you're going to add drop shadow. Make sure it's just a regular drop shadow, not BCC drop shadow, otherwise that'll cause problems with the deep glow. Apply that to your text layer, set the opacity to 100, and then set the distance to about like 20, depending on what looks good. So for me, I like to set the distance not too far so it doesn't just look like a CapCut template. Then you just change the softness, so I'll put the softness to like 25. When you want your text to fade out, you're going to go back over to the effects panel and search up fade out slow and apply that to your text layer. Click on U, and you're going to see down the bottom there's going to be range selector 1, and we're going to change that so it's right after all your text finishes, closer to the end. Don't make it too quick, at least leave like 3 frames apart so you can still see it fading out. Now if you want to do something cool with one line of text or a specific word, what you can do is just double click on your text layer so it opens up the thing to change the text, and then just highlight the part that you want to change. Go over to your text panel, and then just as well as fill, also enable stroke and change the fill and stroke to whatever color you want. So for me that's red, and then that's basically just going to make it super thick. So I might put it at like, maybe I put it at about 5, and now you can see it's highlighted more, and I might just make it a tiny bit bigger. So we'll just select it again and then just increase the text size. Alright, I think that looks good. Alright, I've just finished up all my text things, and now we're going to add our color correction. In order to do so, we need to first make sure that our text is separated from our actual clips, and that way the color correction will apply to the text. In order to do so, just hold down Control and click on every single one of your text layers for your first scene. Once they're all selected, just click Control-Shift-C and click Enter. Now they're all in a pre-composed layer together, and drag that all the way underneath all of the text. Now you're going to do the same with all of your layers for your zooms. Start at the top, click on the first one, and hold down Shift and go down to the bottom. Control-Shift-C, Enter, and then put that right after your first scene. Now you can also pre-compose your text layers to make it more clean, so just select them all and hit Control-Shift-C. Now we're going to be building a color correction from scratch. You can either copy these following settings or build one yourself, or if you don't want to build one yourself, purchase one from our Payhib. We have an entire color correction pack for just $8 Australian, and it's so good, including our All SEC, which we use in almost every one of our edits. And now for the final part for our zooms to make them look extra good, we're going to go and add one more effect onto our pre-composed layer. So search S_shake and drag it onto your zoom layer. Once that's on there, you're going to change the amplitude to 0.4, the frequency to 2. This is going to add some really smooth panning, and it just gives it a little bit of extra shake, which looks really good, so it's not all just super smooth. And now we have our full finalized edit, so I'm just going to export it. This might take a while. Now when you're adding it to your render queue, add it in just After Effects and not Media Encoder. It might take a longer time, but it gives us the best settings. So over in Output module, you want to go here and select Lossless. Now beware, this might take up to 20 gigabytes of storage depending on how long your edit is and how many frames per second it is, but don't worry, we'll be compressing it later. And then just click Render. Now the last part we're going to do is to put our edit through Handbrake, which if you don't know is a free open source file encoder which allows you to change the frame rate, compress file sizes, and do so much more. You can download it, I'll put the link in the description if you want. It's super helpful and we're going to be using it now, and that's why we exported our edit in such a high quality, is because now we're going to compress it without losing any quality. So go over to File, and we're going to select our uncompressed footage. Now we're going to go over here and we're going to scroll down to the bottom and you'll see Production Max. Click that, go over to the video tab, and you can either change the frame rate, so if you want to make it 60 FPS or something, but what we're going to do is we're going to drag this slider down to about 19, change the encoder preset to very slow, encoder profile to main, and now we're just about done. Also click Web Optimize, so it's really good for social media when you post it. Then just go down here and you can either click Browse and select where you want it to go, or just type it in here. then click start encode, and just wait for that to be finished. Alright, now we fully finished our edit. Let's go. Now you can just put it onto social media and wait for the views to start rolling in. You know you've got good quality, so even if it doesn't go viral, still feel very proud of yourself. Please like this video and maybe subscribe. It really helps us out. You can also join our Discord server in the link in the description. It's really good. We have free editing resources, a really good community and chat. Thank you all for watching, and peace out.